You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Polk.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Shoe In Show, the Footwear Industries podcast. As the intro said, we're covering all types of conversations on all types of product, but also this show is really about business optimization, right, Matt? We're really focused on the business side, what's changing behind the curtain. A little risque there, but what's changing behind the curtain of footwear companies, I should say, and how they're optimizing and changing their operations. And Matt, the biggest move that people have been thrust into, and we've been talking about it for years about the need, but all of a sudden they're thrust into it. We're all in this digital world, right, Matt? And that's what people are dealing with, and that's really what, is kind of driving things today.
That's right, Andy. We're super excited to have Jean-Marc Pedeboy, who's a partner of Strategies, and most people know Strategies from their Romans CAD software. But Jean-Marc, you are somewhat of a prophet, if you will, because you have been pushing a technology and a solution on the industry years in advance of ever even considering the fact that we would run into a global pandemic. And with the global pandemic has brought the need for the entire industry to learn how to digitally design product. And guess what? You've been here all along, and that's what you do. So Jean-Marc, welcome back to Shoe In. We're not asking you to take a victory lap per se, but we are excited that you're here to talk more about the importance of digital design and development, something you, Andy, and myself have been talking about for years. So welcome back, my friend.
Okay. Thank you for having me on the show. I think it's a great opportunity to once again push and push and push, but we will succeed. No, we will get there. We will never, as I said, never give up on the good thing. Huh? Never give up on the good thing. Yes, and I'm also very excited to introduce some new feature about digitalization.
Yeah.
The reason why we were ahead of the pack is, over the last 30 years at Strategy, we have been working on different industry. Obviously, the fashion industry as our core product, but we used to develop product for other industry like the real estate industry, the mechanical industry. So what we want to implement in the fashion industry today is something that aerospace, automobile have been doing, long time ago. Okay, except obviously fashion is a bit different. It's more like a merchant approach. It's kind of difficult to have all these people adopt an industrial approach. Trying to design and develop like you would do that for a car or for a plane. But you know what? It's been like that in those industry 20 years ago. So as I said, never give up in a good thing. And obviously now due to the pandemic, it makes sense. It's obvious. It's, that company have to digitize, reduce their sampling, reduce the cost of time, speed, efficiency, precision, trying to link the backend with the front end. I think this year, as I was mentioning previously, we are going to do a lot of show, webinar, I don't know how you call them now anymore, but the emphasis we want to put this in 2021 is really the connection between either in the back end, between the factory and the design, and at the front end level, the design and development studio with the retailers. So now with this year, we are announcing a new product called RCS Showcase, which what we call the missing link. It's a B2B tool which allow salespeople of brand to really transform the showroom into a full digital showroom. as you know, Romance CAD, we were concentrating on the pure CAD plus PDM integration,
Right,
flat,
right,
it was more for between brand and the factory. Even
right.
it's very difficult, to connect the factory and the brand. There is a big subject here,
Right.
and because the factory doesn't, they don't go in too much into an industrial approach with the brand. But we honestly believe this is going to change. Something also we really very excited of announcing is this RCS showcase tool, really to change the way salespeople will call on retailers. We call it 3D wholesale. It's a B2B, tool, like a B2B, like the configurator you find
Hmm.
on your e-commerce, but that's something typically developed to address the need of the brand when they sell their salespeople to the retailers. And it's fully digital. And also the good thing about it, if you try to define SKUs, SMUs, it will be connected to the PDM of Romance CAD. That means even if you choose a variant, you choose a price with your retailer, it will be in real time integrated into the management system of the
Yeah.
company.
So let me ask you about that, because I think that's a huge issue that we see right now. Obviously, we've been talking about design and development and factory, like how we take computer assisted design, CAD design, and 3D. You guys have the world's leading software in terms of getting that down to patterns for the factory, which is the most important thing, is not just how it looks and you can spin it around, but really that you get down to the pattern making, you get down to the material level, and work with the factory. And again, as you said, that it's not always easy, but that's the future. And that's where a lot of companies are headed now. And they've seen hundreds to thousands of man hours a cycle cut out because of using this software. But as you say, everybody now can't travel. Even the salespeople can't travel, and they're all itching to. I think they would triple mask if they could, or put on some kind of a hazmat suit just to get into somebody's headquarters to sell a pair of shoes. But it's still not quite safe yet. And even when we do return, we'll have less travel for the same purposes. We've got to even optimize our sales and our merchandising strategies around market weeks, trade shows, etc. So when we're talking about that, Jean-Marc, I'm really excited because I feel like there's not been any real investments put into that in terms of data collection. And I've seen some platforms come up with that, but to your point, and maybe we can focus on a little bit, but having that data, if somebody makes a change or an adjustment in real time in a meeting with somebody who's like, I'd rather have this color, I'd rather have that. Can we talk about price? Having that update in the back end in real time, meaning no one has to go in there and adjust it, reduction of errors, things like that. I think that's really where the digital future is like that whole system talking to each other from the front end to the back end and the back end to the front end, right? That's what
Exactly.
I'm super excited about.
And also there is another issue we would like to address this year. It's about the sustainability index and how we can be. I know that you've been having a lot of talks on sustainability, huge subject, but for our point of view, I want to make it very, very simple. And for us, it will be good to have in our system a good metrics to be able to give to the consumer a labeling system which can qualify the level of sustainability. What I'm trying to say here, we will give to the brand and the retailer the opportunity to say, this is a footwear at this price, at this level of sustainability. This is another variant at this price with a better level of sustainability. But obviously, it's more expensive. I mean, trying to match not only the price and sustainability level. And I do hope, and this is something which is not relying on what we do, because this is mainly data. Okay. And for example, so if at one point I know everybody heard about the Higgs index. If the Higgs index can give us a very simple way of putting like CO2 per square feet, per square meter, per square whatever, that's something we can immediately translate into the Roman cash system and put that in front of the retailers and even at the end at the level of the customer. I mean, trying to merge 3D, 2D, and data. This is definitively the way we are going to go, and that's what the thing we are doing with Romance CAD.
Now, Jean-Marc, let me ask you this: as you think about what your customers were asking of strategies prior to the pandemic and on the digitization side, are you experiencing during the pandemic new customers asking for the same things, or are they looking to, are they looking to expedite the digitization? Is it more difficult now to do that? I'm just trying to think through a company that had not invested beforehand and now is in the pandemic and is drinking from a fire hose. How do they prioritize what tools to utilize that you all offer?
The question it's always a matter of and as you know, there's going to be a lot of consolidation in the market. Okay, right. So let's put it that way. There's been a lot of interest, to be quite fair with you. But that's what we want to push. Marketing want to push, visibility. Are they going to invest right now? Well, except the big brands, they will continue their effort. New people, it's going to be. It will take more time. I think it will take more time. But we're there. So it's not because, as you say, trying to implement all these different solutions, it's always a change management problem.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's not only the software. You have to be. So there is a lot of education. Last year when you conducted the Flow webinar, there was very interesting. But have you seen the amount of subject the company have to deal with? But my point is, we have to prove if we have good storytelling, good experience, good success, that will probably move the industry to go faster. Definitively, because people in the footwear, they want to see before actually they buy. There's been a lot of requests. Now, trying to, if you want to ask me, are they going to invest right now? Apart from two or three big company we're working with,
right.
A new company. When I mean a new company we signed last year, it's going to take time. It's going to take time. That's definitively true. But that's okay. It's a fact.
What's the onboarding process like? If I'm ABC Footwear Company, I say, Jean-Marc, help me. I need help in digitization. I'm starting from scratch. What do we do next?
But first of all, it's to find, not only you need to find the right person, someone who understands 3D, 2D. Sometimes we understand, which means design, but also we understand footwear process, footwear making, because there are obviously some specific stuff on a footwear. The way when you do the flattening, it's not perfect, So it's a conjunction of finding the young and creative designer with probably a more experienced shoe dog. It's a combination of both worlds, obviously. But I would say also there are some now movement which are pushing toward our direction. What you guys are doing with material exchange, or what Materialization is doing in terms of trying to have all the subcontractor of the material vendors digitizing their swatch, their fabrics. This is really one of the big push for the industry in general term, because as you say, now you can e-source the complete list of components can be now sourced digitally. The fabrics with material exchange, you talk to your last maker. He can send you a last at the STL format. You talk to your hardware vendor, they will send you a CAD file, no problem. So today, everything is there. Now, when you come to the brand, you need to find the right people, the right young and creative designer. And I mean, today we are obviously in a much better position because there's the whole industry. You got the material exchange push. You have the sustainability. I think sustainability is going to be a big driver for for people to digitize, because sustainability, it's about data. It's about, so in order to, and it's about data also you want to implement at the design level.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the challenge around sustainability is definitely data. I also just think optimizations around data, because I think so often, and no, I'll say this, and I don't degrade it because I have a lot of them, but Excel sheets, we've become so reliant on Excel sheets. But the problem in Excel is, and it's probably one of the most important software optimization tools in the history of mankind. I mean, we forget, but before that, we were all using paper and fax machines, and now all of a sudden we have a digital box and cells and rows that we can compute and do things. The challenge with Excel is we don't use it properly to the full extent. Not all of us are fully trained. So what we have is data that sits, right? And we can casually look at it and make assumptions about it, but there's nothing that's really informing us because we don't feed it into something more intelligent. We don't feed it into a broader stream of consciousness across our product categories. And I think that's what Jean-Marc is talking about, is it's not just taking data and putting it somewhere. It's putting it into a stream and being able to have a system, or you go in and look at different aspects and then in a completely different way that tells you something completely different. And I think that's where we're heading as an industry, both in terms of sustainability, but also product feedback from those meetings that Strategies is building that software component of being able to almost take a shoe and show it to someone on a tablet, or even in physicality, get feedback in real time, put it into the system, feed it back through the system. And as you're doing that, you're not just optimizing. All of a sudden the system gets smarter, because if you have 5 different customers saying that they want the same colorway, and you don't update your other colorways for the other vendors to see the trend that's happening, you're going to miss out on. So it's kind of like the thing that we can't quite grasp mentally of what this really means, but the people who can and who have been implementing it, from Deckers and Wolverine and some of these other big companies using high-end software like Roman CAD, is where they're going to have the advantage in the long run. Is it's not just a 1 or 2 software plug and play to optimize one area. It's the whole stream of consciousness across the way your business works, right?
As an example, like something that our friend Chris was explaining very well last time, when at Deckers they took the material from their PLM, they push the material to Romance CAD. We take this information, because we do the 3D design, we do the 2D pattern, we do the full consumption. Then we are able to provide full key indicators, reports such as bill of material, pre-costing, and there we can push this information back to the PLM. So in other words, I think the most important thing, as you mentioned clearly, is the flow of the data. The data has to move from one system to another, and at every step, this data has to be improved. I mean, has to be enhanced by, like for example, the fact that we can provide the true consumption of the footwear, either in 3D, but more especially at the 2D level with all allowances, mean that if we do provide a report on sustainability, we might be very close to the truth, if there is any truth anyway. But what I'm trying to say, we are going to be very precise in terms of what we want to achieve in terms of sustainability report and sustainability level. which is a very important piece of information, because you are capable of providing price and sustainability reports, maybe you can educate the consumer to put little bit more money on something which is more sustainable. I know at the end the price will always be the key factors, but let's hope.
No, price is always a key factor, Jean-Marc. But more and more consumers are asking for sustainability information. And as we talk to our members and other companies within the industry about sustainability, they're trying to navigate a very wide open path, as we would call here in the US, the wild, wild west, right? So it's trying to figure that out. But it sounds like from what you're saying that Romans CAD can really provide one of those key initiatives within a company to point to talk about sustainability that in turn educates the consumer in the long run. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What we will do, we will take because the body is going to give the information in the X index or any other bodies, which will be capable of providing this type of information. But having an equivalent of CO2 per square feet of fabrics doesn't. How do you apply that to the corresponding shoe? But because at Romans CAD level, we are capable of giving you the exact consumption because of the 3D CAD, the 2D CAD, the allowances, and all the information embedded within the Romans CAD model, then we can push, we can merge the X index or any equivalent to our exact consumption, and we can give you an exact metrics. And I think you guys have been working on the labeling system, for fashion. There was a program on French TV about 6 months ago, and exactly what the consumer were asking. They want a very simple labeling system, right? That anybody can understand. They want to be able to work in a shoe shop and see the label and understand very, very, very quickly.
Yeah, and I think we're obviously trying to work as an industry around common terms and eventually standards around sustainability that can feed back into the system that you guys are building, but also just broadly make sure when we're talking about different terms, sustainability is such a large term.
No, yeah, exactly.
Digitization is such a large term. Like what specifically we're talking about. And I'm excited to continue to work with you, Jean-Marc, and your whole team of visionaries building what 20 years ago was the future it is today, and you got some great companies right now utilizing your software and tools to optimize every single day. And of course, they're learning new ways to use it and new tricks and processes. But the good news is for folks out there, this is not anything that's on the core product offering. It's nothing new. It's sitting there. Jean-Marc knows how to help you guys implement it and think about it and look at your product assortment and start off the new stuff that I'm interested in. And of course, we'll try to do some webinars and more education around it. But it's that front end of working with customers and getting retail feedback that feeds into the system that creates it is going to be really fun to work with you guys on now to see how that fleshes out. Because I think, the biggest challenge, again, is that unless you have a holistic system, someone's going to, in the middle, is going to have to be plugging in data somewhere. And that's exactly a place for mistakes. For someone to miss a box, miss that Excel sheet, and start having really some challenges in the process that you don't have. And again, if we're just collecting data, that's great. But if it's not telling us anything, or we're not reading the tea leaves that it's giving us, then that we're only optimizing as far as as far as it's given to us. So I'm excited, and I'm glad, Jean-Marc, we could have you on and have these conversations, because I think it always helps people think a little bit differently about technology and what's possible and where people are heading. And again, people are already doing this stuff. And at this point, I do want to bring in Jasmine before we wrap up this great session. Jasmine is going to do one of our world famous sessions. Jasmine, what are we doing today?
Yeah, we're going to do what you got, what you're getting, because I'm not sure if we've done that with Jean-Marc ever before. So, Jean-Marc, just for your reference, we do a segment, what you got, what you're getting, that explains what we got on our feet now and what we're planning on getting. And I know we were talking before the show started. So, what have you been, wearing on your travels or wearing day to day? Have you been wearing any particular shoe or brand recently? And do you have your eye on a particular shoe?
Sport shoes, I would imagine. Golf shoes, sport shoes.
Whatever your favorite is right now.
Right now, I think it's Adidas Converse. Yeah, Adidas. The Stan Smith Adidas.
Yeah.
The old. I'm an old folks, and I'm an old folks. Yeah. So yes. But it's funny about it because last time I was working I think it was a sport shoe like Decathlon anyway, and I could see one imitation, but honestly the price didn't seem right. And then I moved to an Adidas shop and I said, okay, it was like 100. The first one was 35 euro, and I said, no, not the real McCoy. So, anyway, so that, I love this. Because we don't go to the office anymore, so
right.
So except going to a little bit to the golf course, so or to the practice at least, so no, it's mainly sports shoes or casual like Merrell.
Do you have any shoes that you're planning to buy then for the upcoming season, or any more sports shoes? Do you plan on buying any particular ones?
Well, yes, I think the good thing is to have like a sport shoe which looks very trendy. I would say the mixture of being sporty but also very trendy. It doesn't have to look like a real sport shoes. So I think what I like is to have a mixture of both worlds.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
That's sorry.
I just said nice.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I think Jasmine can speak to this, but I think we're seeing that trend here too. I think, and I've said this before, but Cole Haan has been on the leading edge of making a comfortable shoe that mixes between kind of, and they do have the shoe out that's like meant for working out and the office at the same time, way before the pandemic hit. So that kind of, and I think fashion brands have to think about that more and more. And God, I think some people can get away with just saying, I'm going to stick to my core range and I know what my customer is and they're going to come back. That's great, but that's not going to fit for everybody. And we've got to be a little bit more agile and pliable and think a little bit differently about the product we're putting out.
Right.
Mm.
I agree. Yeah, I'm definitely a Cole Haan lover too. So
yeah, that cross functionality is so important because all the lines are blurred between work,
right,
pleasure, fun, outdoor, indoor, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Jean-Marc, as always, thank you so much for joining us today and having these conversations and helping kind of pull some people out of the cave a little bit and into the sunshine, the digital sunshine of making people wear. Because I do think people get a little afraid because they hear the word digitization and they don't realize this is a concept that people have been using and it's worked really well so far in our industry and it's only getting better. So, at some point you got to put your money where your mouth is if you actually want to. And I hate to say it, but some brands need to do this to survive as we move forward. There's no other way unless, it's, the gut techniques work for a lot of companies for a lot of years, right? My gut's telling me this, my gut's telling me that. That's great.
Yeah.
Our consumers now are all over the place, the place. They're all in different areas of the world. They all have different COVID restrictions. Some don't have any at all. Some are fully locked down. Some people, will never go back into work. Some people are itching to get back. I mean, it's just they're all over the place. And if we don't have data telling us what we need to be thinking about or what's next, then it really, can't say enough about Roman Cat and the work that they're doing and how people can get involved with them. So Jean-Marc, as always, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And hopefully we can see each other face to face at some point.
Yeah. I'm glad. Yes, exactly.
Someday.
All right, one day.
One day.
Bonjour, bonjour.
Un jour, un jour. With a good glass of wine, that will be
Yeah,
fine.
exactly. There you go. Folks, this is Shoe and Show. We're covering all things footwear. Today's been a great conversation about digitization and the need for new digital tools and honestly a new way of thinking. I mean, it's not just the technology and software. It's really thinking about things differently and how we implement it and doing,
Exactly.
finding the ways to go forward towards the value and towards the consumer. And in always digital, that's where everything's headed anyway. So get into the digital stream. If you need a pair of swimming shorts, Jean-Marc's here. He's happy to buy them for you and help you get in there and see where things are at. But please go back into our library on shoeandshow.com. We've got 250 episodes of some of the world's greatest footwear leaders, workers, all exploring new ideas and best practices and tips that you can get a little bit stronger and better at your job in the footwear industry. We really appreciate you listening as always. And until next time, please stay healthy. Please be safe. Wear a double mask if you need to. Keep that 6 feet, maybe 12 feet if you're a little afraid. But until next time, Shoein is out. Thank you.
Shoein has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.